The ACU football team hopes to drive out some demons in Louisiana. I'm Hannah Knoll.
And I'm Grant Boone. We'll preview today's game against Northwestern State and take a look at the best plays of the year. It's the Adam Dorrel Show right now. Welcome to Week 9 of the Adam Dorrel Show from the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Grant Boone alongside the head coach of the ACU football Wildcats, Adam Dorrel. Hannah Knoll will join us in just a bit. ACU opens the final month of the season on the road in Natchitoches, Louisiana against Northwestern State. Coach, 3 games to go. What was the message to your team coming off the bye week this week?
Just a couple things. Number one, to keep trying to get better, keep fighting, keep pushing. We talked about early in the season, things may not always be what you want them to be, but you got to learn to value growth when you're trying to do what we're trying to do in a football program. So just refocus, re-energize. I thought we did that. I thought our first practice back off the bye week was the first few days off. I thought was really good Sunday night, and I was really proud of our seniors, just that core group of seniors that have been awesome for us. But I thought they really set the tempo Sunday night. So. Just keep going, don't quit.
Have you found that how you end a season can impact how you go into the off season?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, in a positive or negative way. And so, as a coaching staff, that's why we're really trying to push our guys in a positive way. And guys have got to learn how to battle through adversity. Things haven't always been easy this year. There's been a lot of good things, been some bad things, but certainly I agree with that statement. Yeah, that's why you obviously want to end on a high note. And, obviously you want to win, but it's, again, attention to detail, guys doing things the way they're supposed to be doing it, being a great teammate, being unselfish, being loyal, all those things you want to carry into the offseason.
We mentioned last week on the show that while you didn't have a game, your coaches were fanned out across the country looking for future Wildcats. Can you share with us how a coaching staff goes about what seems to me to be a daunting challenge of trying to compile a list of guys that you want to at least talk to and see if they're a fit?
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. Well, it started really 1 week after last signing day in February, and we take a week off like most staffs do, and then we come back, and literally that week after you start in on the new class, and you're on to basically juniors going to be seniors and sophomores going to be juniors. And so when you get to this point, quite honestly, it's a very detailed list. It's a big list. It's an extensive list that you have cut down through your research. Offers, guys that have accepted offers elsewhere, academics, making sure they check your boxes and talking to the coaches. And so, honestly, you get out and go.
You're always talking to contacts you have throughout the years, right? And all your coaches are, hey, this guy might be a fit for us, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a database that we use, and I love it. And it just helps us as a coaches to be accountable to each other. And each of us coaches go through and we register X amount of kids a week. And that way, by the end of the week, you need to have your kids in there evaluated, new kids or kids that were old kids, and look at the transcripts, new senior film. So it's a very detailed process, and the great thing about it is if you want to have a great staff as far as cohesive, all the guys have got to buy into recruiting, and our guys have just done a phenomenal job with doing that. They're very detail-oriented. So, I'm very proud of their work because it's not easy.
As you say, you're always recruiting, aren't you?
Recruiting, yeah.
All right, well, we will preview today's matchup against Northwestern State a little bit later in the show. But when we return to look back at some of the best plays from the first 8 games of the season, glad you're with us here on the Adam Dorrel Show. Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show, here with the coach. No game to recap this week, so we thought we'd use this segment to take a look at some of the highlights from the first 8 games. Let's begin with the opening possession coach of the season. You're on defense, you're facing New Mexico. Last year's #1 team in the nation in rushing offense in the FBS. Not Alabama, not any. It's New Mexico. They get to 4th and goal at the 1, and your team stops them.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good early, was it? They were chomping up that yard. And it's hard to get ready for that option team. But, man, we came down there, got that goal line stand, and then big energy boost, and then we went 99 yards on offense and scored on our opening possession. So great way to start the year.
Which tied the all-time ACU record for, in fact, it tied the all-time record for anybody. Longest drive, 99 yards. Heck of a way to start the season. Okay, then we go the next week to another FBS opponent, Colorado State. You force the Rams to punt early third quarter, and then Bryson Gates right up the middle. He blocks it. You turn it into a touchdown, 17-7. It was a moment that really energized that sideline for your side. It made it a game of 17-7.
Yeah, it did, and I was very proud of our players. And I thought if you go back and you look at the games that we played to this date, we played really well in that game, if you look at that, because Colorado State's a great football program.
Yeah.
And we played hard, and just with the energy and the passion that we played for, it was awesome. That's been a big memory for me throughout this year, and something that I've really tried to build on, because, I mean, when you're in a game like that playing as you're playing, there's hope.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we're going to continue to try to build on.
Got to mention the play of your safeties. Boluwanafe
Yeah,
had 17
absolutely.
tackles. Brandon Richmond, 12 in that game against Colorado State. Okay, you come home. And this next highlight, not so much what happened on the field as the field itself. September 16th, you open Anthony Field at Wildcat Stadium. ACU's first home game in nearly 60 years. Afterwards, you told me it was one of the coolest moments you've had in your entire career, player or coach. What stands out about that night?
Well, I just think I'll always remember the emotion. And for me, I think for me, I was just feeding off so many other people's emotions, people that have been around here a lot longer than me, that it's taken a lot of work and energy to get that thing up and running. And just to see all those folks at the end of the game and the joy on their faces is something I really sensed all week leading up to that. But just the families, the boosters, the alumni, our players, and it had been a long time coming.
First touchdown came from DeAndre Brown. I still don't know how he got in, looking back at it.
Yeah, it was not well blocked at the point of attack. And, he made a great first move, great second move, and then really finished the run.
All right, the next week against Stephen F. Austin, you get Cade Munden into your bag of tricks here on Halloween week. Cade Munden receives a pass, then throws it to DeAndre. But he hadn't thrown a pass in 3 years in a game, and he's right on the money with it.
Yeah, he is. And for me, and not just that game, but what Cade's done all year for us, he's been an awesome leader. We're thankful that he came back for his senior year, because I think at one point in time we wasn't sure. But I'm very proud of him and what he stands for, and he's a great ambassador for ACU. And he's a great teammate and a good leader.
And he was on the Adam Dorrel show last week.
Yes.
We're celebrating the engagement to our co-host, Hannah Knoll. Okay, then you go to Incarnate Word, and you get a huge road win. And there were a lot of highlights from this one, but Troy Grant was special in this one. 3 catches for 77 yards, right down the middle. Catches one. They call it a touchdown initially, go back later and say it was down at the 1, you scored. Then he makes a really tough catch in the corner of the end zone.
As a whole team, I'll remember that game. One of our things, we were trying to get a road win that hadn't been done here in a few years. And so our guys were super excited about that. But just the way we played really well on offense, defense, and for the most part, special teams. Troy came up really big in that game and just in traffic, too, the catches he made.
Yeah, it was tough. Speaking of defense, Adonis Davis, your sophomore corner, not only makes a stop, but he knocks the ball up in the air. You wound up scoring on a couple of plays later.
We did, and the big thing, Grant, is we capitalized on those turnovers, and it was just a huge momentum, and I think it was just too much for them to overcome. We had such a big lead at half.
Justin Miller, terrific catch and run after a nice throw from Luke Anthony. Justin gets his first career offensive touchdown.
Yeah, and it was off a RPO. We can run the ball or throw it, and Luke made a great decision to throw it. And Justin, he just stuck that foot in the ground, that left foot in the ground, man, and he was gone. And just a different gear that he has.
Yeah, and he's a special player, just a sophomore. A couple of weeks later, you go down to Nichols, and second play from scrimmage, Tracy James bursts right up the middle for 48 yards. Coach, when you look at players in the Southland Conference, just in conference games, he's top 10, 5.5 yards per carry. Yeah. Just a sophomore.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's done a really good job in the offseason, if you look at his body. And for a guy that big, he runs really well, got really good vision. And, he's a guy that I'm proud of him because, Coach Walsh, JW, really has pushed him this year. And early in the year, a couple of those first games, it kind of took him a little bit to get going, and we really pressed him. Oh, man, you can't do that, if you want to be the guy and be that special elite type of player. And he's really answered that. He started fast this year, which, there's no secret. When he plays well, we usually play well on offense.
Well, hopefully a lot more highlights to add to the season-long highlight reel later today when ASU takes on Northwestern State. We will preview that game in just a bit. But as we go to break, take a look at scores from last week in the Southland Conference. Huge wins for Central Arkansas and Sam Houston State over a couple of title contenders. Stay with us here on the Adam Dorrel Show.
Welcome back to the Adam Dorrel Show. Later on, we'll get the chance to hear from defensive coordinator Tremaine Jackson, but first, let's hear from Max Preston about the rest of the sports going on at ACU.
The women's cross-country team picked up hardware this weekend at the Southland Conference Championships, winning their second conference title. Allie Hackett finished first for the women, and her sister Michaela finished right behind her in second. Diana Garcia Munoz capped off the Wildcats' dominant performance by finishing in third. For the men, Ryan Cleary had the best finish, coming in at 10th place. The men as a team finished 7th overall. The Wildcats will look to continue off the momentum heading into the NCAA Regional Championships.
Yeah, it's pretty much just business as usual. We have the with training, we have to prepare for regionals and to be really well at regionals, but we also have to prepare people in case we make nationals, especially the Hacketts looking at making as a team or an individual. They have to be ready to continue their season the week after at nationals. But our team as a whole, we have to think about getting there. Obviously is the big challenge for us on the team side, but we also have to think about if we make it as well, being ready for that.
The soccer team won its final regular season game against Incarnate Word last Friday, 4-2. This win secured the Wildcats' 6th place spot for the Southland Conference tournament. The women spread the ball well against the Cardinals as 4 different players had goals in the game. The Wildcats finished the regular season at 8-10 overall and 6-5 in conference. The team was scheduled to next face McNeese Wednesday at 2 p.m. in Corpus Christi for the first game of the postseason. The volleyball team split games on the road last weekend, losing to Central Arkansas on Thursday 3-0 and winning against Northwestern State Saturday 3-1. Caitlin Mueller led the weekend with 14 kills, while Kendall Bossy had 58 assists and Amanda Chappa earned 37 digs. The Wildcats are now 9-14 overall and 5-6 in conference and sit at 8th in the Southland after this weekend. The team was scheduled to face Sam Houston on Tuesday this week, as well as Stephen F. Austin on Thursday. Finally, the men and women's tennis teams will be rounding out the fall season with a trip to Phoenix, Arizona for the Grand Canyon Invitational this weekend. The tournament will start Friday and last until Sunday. That's all for this week. For more stories and breaking news, visit acuoptimist.com. For the Optimist Sports, I'm Max Preston.
Thanks, Max. Defensive coordinator Tremaine Jackson came to ACU after serving as a defensive coordinator for the University of Sioux Falls in South Dakota. In 3 years of coaching, his defense forced 100 turnovers, went 32-5, and made it to the NCAA Division II playoffs. The Wildcat defense has seen some improvements under Jackson's coaching. Last year, the defense gave up 2,279 all-purpose yards in 11 games, but this year, Coach Jackson's defense has held its opponents to 1,583 in the last 8 games played. I got the chance to talk with Coach Jackson earlier this week to find out more about his football experience and his coaching style.
Yeah, the main philosophy we need is, or that we have, is to tackle really well, leverage the football properly, pursue the football, and just play extremely hard. Those are some of the key ingredients to what we think is a successful defense. I spent the previous 4 years at the University of Sioux Falls in South Dakota. Was the defense coordinator there for 3 years. Evangel University was the DC there for a year. Texas Southern was the DC there for a year and spent 3 years as the D-line coach. So it's kind of been around a little bit. I don't think it's anything that I've done. I think our players and our seniors wanted to play better. And so we just tried to help them and coach them the best way we could to get them to leverage properly, run to the ball, basically change the mentality of who we were to what we are now. And we're still not where we want to be, by no means. We're better, but we don't strive to be better. We strive to be the best. And so that's kind of what we're looking at doing now. But I think the mentality is the biggest thing that might have changed since previous years.
That's all for Coach Jackson. Next, Coach Dorrel and Grant will preview the game against the Demons. We'll be back with more on the Adam Dorrel Show.
As we welcome you back to the Adam Dorrel Show, take a look at today's schedule in the Southland Conference. It includes McNeese hosting Southeastern Louisiana in a must-win game for the Cowboys to keep their playoff hopes alive. And now take a look at the conference standings. Central Arkansas still on top, still unbeaten in the league at 6-0. Sam Houston State and Nichols still with a chance to win a share of the conference title should UCA stumble over these final 3 weeks. All right, this afternoon in Natchitoches, Louisiana, ACU returns to the field to take on the Northwestern State University Demons, coming off a walk-off win at Houston Baptist. Coach, they got a field goal at the gun for a 10-7 victory. Like ACU, Northwestern State now 2-4 in the league, and also like ACU, I feel like it's a team that's better maybe than the record might show to the naked eye.
Yeah, you watched last week's game, and it was super impressive because, man, it had been such a defensive struggle. And Houston Baptist scores late, and sure enough, great kickoff return. 3 plays later, one incomplete pass, 2 completions, and then to watch our kicker go out. And I mean, there was no doubt he drained the thing. And they've played hard all year. That's the thing. If you look at with them, they haven't had big lapses. They've played hard all year, playing fundamentally sound football. They've had a change at quarterback.
Yes, they have.
With what that guy's doing, I think is added a dynamic element to their offense, and they're still relatively young too.
They put up almost 500 yards of offense and led for 59 minutes against Sam Houston State in Huntsville a couple of weeks ago. This is a team that can run the ball.
Yeah, you watch that game and it's very scary because they went to Huntsville on a mission.
Yeah.
And they started off very quickly. They didn't blink. And then literally, I mean, that fourth quarter, there's a couple drives they would wish they could have back, I'm sure, to try to finish the football game, but they've got a lot of talent. They look the part, and they're well coached.
And it's a road game, and you got a long road trip. You better get going here. All right, it's ACU at Northwestern State coming up. It's a 4 o'clock kickoff. It's a game that's been changed from 6 o'clock to 4 o'clock, so make a note there. We'll have the pregame show on radio beginning at 3:30. For Hannah and for Coach Dorrel, I'm Grant Boone. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game today, and we'll see you right here next week on the Adam Dorrel Show.